stayed hot and fluffy. The rolls needed to come out of the oven right before everyone sat down so they'd be fresh and warm. The tart was already made and chilling in the fridge, looking absolutely perfect with its dark chocolate ganache and decorative shavings. Everything was choreographed like a dance. Every element timed to come together at exactly the right moment. I'd never worked so hard on anything in my life. The guests arrived at 6:15. I greeted them at the door, wearing the dress Mom had bought me specifically for this event. Something appropriate, conservative, the kind of thing a well-brought-up daughter would wear. I smiled and took coats. Made small talk about traffic and weather and how wonderful it was to finally meet everyone. Dad's boss was a tall man named Richard with gray hair and an expensive watch. His wife, Gloria, had that polished look of someone who'd never worried about money. The other couples were similarly affluent, successfully married people with successful careers and successful children. The kind of people my father wanted to become, the kind of people he thought he deserved to be. I served drinks in the living room, wine for the adults, sparkling water with lemon for those who didn't drink. Passed around the appetizers I'd made earlier, bruschetta with fresh tomatoes and basil, stuffed mushrooms, bacon-wrapped dates. Everyone complimented the food, said I was clearly talented in the kitchen. Dad beamed and said I'd learned from my mother, who was an excellent cook. Didn't mention that Mom hadn't cooked a family meal in 2 years, that I'd been doing all the cooking while working full-time, that this talent he was so proud of had been developed out of necessity, not choice. But I smiled and accepted the compliments and played my role perfectly. Dinner was scheduled for 6:30. At 6:25, I excused myself to check on the food and make final preparations. Walked into the kitchen, looked at the beautiful roast in the oven, the vegetables ready to be tossed with balsamic, the potatoes boiled and waiting to be mashed. Everything perfect. Everything on schedule. Everything exactly as it should be. I turned off the oven, turned the burners up to high under the empty pots I'd placed there earlier, opened the oven door so heat would pour into the kitchen, set a timer on my phone for 20 minutes, and then I walked out the back door, got in my car, drove away. I didn't go far. Parked 3 blocks away on a side street where I had a clear view of the house. Sat in my car with the engine off, watching, waiting, feeling absolutely calm, no anxiety, no guilt, no second thoughts. Just cold certainty that what I was doing was necessary, that this was the only language my family understood. Consequences. They'd spent 2 years teaching me about consequences. Now they'd learn what consequences felt like when the roles were reversed, when the person they'd been controlling suddenly had all the power, when their success depended on someone who'd finally stopped caring about their approval. At 6:47,